Well, welcome and good evening, and wonderful dice of all levels. I am Lunar D8, and this is part 4 of Let's Play Will a Wonderful World. I haven't played this in a while, and the main thing I really remember about it is that everyone in this game is very hard to please. So, must have finished these, because there's letters. Oh yeah, that's the S rank for. And I must not have done these guys. Carlos and Cheng. These are... Remember, this game is made, and this is a Chinese developed game, so that is the main influence. Same way a game made in England. You know, the person's more familiar with their own culture and names. Whether it's a game in America, a game in Japan, a game in Russia, Germany. By the way, if anyone out there is from another country, tell me what you can about your country, though. I know that's kind of an odd question to ask, because it's like asking someone, tell me about yourself. You're like, well, where the hell do I start? But, yeah. I'd like to know more about, especially if you're from another country, or just even if you're in America, what state you're in. Because, well, one state from another tends to be a little bit different. But then again, I suppose the same would be true of China, Russia, any very large country like that. Then again, I mean, say if you're from Japan, even though Japan's not considered a very large country, is the culture, as far as how everyone is there really much of a variety when it comes to, like, from one district to another? Like, is there different accents? Not that I would be able to place it, but I know England has 4 distinct accents, and here in America, well, heck, some people that in my own state sometimes think I have an accent. People have thought I'm Australian for some reason, which I'm okay with. It's like, oh, but I just don't see how, But then again, like I said, growing up, I thought I was mainly German and Italian. And then I took a DNA test and found out I'm like 50% English and 40% Scottish and a tiny bit of Irish and French. And I'm like, okay, so I don't understand what I am. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. But I live in the state of Ohio. But yeah, in America, there's each state, sometimes the culture tends to be a bit different. Whether you're, especially some big changes is, you know, say California as opposed to Texas, or New York, Florida, Montana. Plus, I mean, we have close to 340 million people? So, I mean, most of us don't agree on much of anything. But, yeah, there's a lot of different culture and I'd say accents there, but there's probably at least 20 easily recognizably different accents for America. So I imagine that there might be multiple different accents of, say, German, or people in Spain, or people in Mexico, or people in Brazil, or people in Canada. Not just speaking another language, but I mean just... But, yeah, long question short. Yeah, where are you guys from? And what is it like where you're at and within your own country? Are there different accents? Is there anything that you really like about your country? Basically, I'm just saying I'm trying to get to know more about the rest of the world from, well, you guys yourselves. So, let's hop into the game and my sister and the case of kidnapping. Okay, how is this connected? Well, let's see what's going on. Hong Kong was different than I had imagined. Back home in Mexico, everything was so colorful. But Hong Kong was just gray. Gray streets, gray buildings, gray store signs, and gray homeless people. And there was me, sitting in the middle of them, looking odd. I never knew that pesos couldn't be exchanged in Hong Kong for dollars there. Yeah, I thought, I did not know. Okay. When I woke up, I found a few more coins by my feet. Oh, right, he moved a... Oh, I'm so sorry. I had to take them. I must survive. But there had to be something close that you could exchange it at. None of the homeless people seemed to like me very much, perhaps because they could only get about half as many coins as I. I had a big sister named Alicia. She was 9 years older than me. We both grew up in an orphanage in Monte-Clac. It was a rural place. You had to travel 4 kilometers to get to the nearest town, Coatepec, just to make a phone call. Now, I use miles, which 1 kilometer would be 6/10 of a mile. I couldn't remember anything about my own parents. My big sister was the only person I had in this world. 9 years ago, Alicia had left Mexico to make more money. She used to write me letters every few months. Every time the mailman came, I could be so easily excited if there was an envelope with my name on it. Even though I couldn't read much, Auntie Benita would always read them to me. Alicia didn't seem to have the easiest time, but she had seen so much of the outside world, and by reading her letters, I felt like I got to see what Alicia had seen. I could almost feel like I was right there with her in the big, new, interesting, and fascinating world that we had never seen before. However, we had stopped hearing from her a year ago. Her last letter had come from Hong Kong, so I had asked Uncle Depp, Johnny Depp, to find a tutor for me who could teach me how to read and speak a little of the local language. I had worked so hard to make more money for the trip. I had done all this just so I could come to Hong Kong, even though I wasn't sure she was still in the city. Still, even if there was just the tiniest hope, I would never give up. I knew I had to find my sister and make sure that she was okay. I had arrived at Pitt Street. Pitt Street had been the postmark of Alicia's last letter. Maybe someone nearby might have seen her. Before I left, Auntie Benita had given me an old cell phone. I pulled up a picture of Alicia on the phone. I held up the phone asking people door to door if they had seen my sister. I couldn't tell if they could understand me. They would wave their hands at me every time before I had barely spoken. Almost halfway through the street, I found myself behind a huge crowd of people. Thick, dark smoke was coming out of the building nearby. People were shoving and running out of it. More and more people started to gather on the street. Many of them were even taking pictures with their phones. The fire truck finally arrived. My cell phone suddenly rang. My cell phone fell to the ground. My cell phone was vibrating on the ground, and then it fell through the storm drain. Damn. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. No. The sewer water was flowing rapidly in the drain. I held onto the drain and tried my best to look down. Maybe the phone was stuck somewhere. It'd be ruined by now from all that water, buddy. But I understand. I looked for a long time and even tried to reach into my hand, but I couldn't get it. I was so tired, disappointed, and desperate, I couldn't pretend anymore. I fell to the ground, feeling like shit. The cell phone was the most valuable thing I had. It had the only picture of my sister on it. Lord, please help me. I really don't know if I could ever find my big sister without it. Carlos. Okay, next letter. The office wing of the Criminal Investigation Unit 4 looked like a small warehouse that hadn't been organized in forever. It was crowded and messy in the first place. Then almost every desk had stacks of files that were at least 20 centimeters tall, as well as all kinds of evidence and other random items. I stood up straight and gave a salute. Oh, that's pretty good art. So, I thought Chang Guang-min, reporting for duty at Unit 4. There was only 2 other people besides me. One of them was wiping down his rifle. He looked at me with a strange, examining look on his face. The other one had dark circles around his eyes, which made him look like he hadn't slept for days. He was looking over some files. Judging from his seat, this must be the infamous lieutenant of Unit 4, Kang Bak-ya. Lieutenant Kang gave me a glance with a half-smoked cigarette in his mouth. Then he mumbled, "You, over there." I followed the direction of his look and saw the desk that he seemed to be referring to. Many old bags from McDonald's were stacked on top of it, all filled with leftovers and trash. It was also directly opposite the bathroom facing it. Aha! It was okay, as long as I had somewhere to sit. I was about to ask Lieutenant Liu Kang, what I should do next when the phone on his desk rang. He took the call, put down the phone, and announced to us that there was a gang-related hostage situation 2 blocks from the station. I never thought my opportunity to defend justice would arrive so soon. By the way, I was just thinking, salsa. I like salsa, but I think out of all the salsa sauces, I think the best and most delicious pepper to use in a salsa is a serrano pepper. What do you guys think is the most delicious pepper to use in a salsa? Also, if there's a particular ingredient that other than a pepper that you think is a must for a delicious salsa, let me know. But yeah, serrano peppers. I never thought my opportunity... Yes, I already read this. Lieutenant Kang put out his cigarette in an ashtray and stood up. I followed him. He grabbed his coat and asked, "Hey, new guy, have you got your gun?" "My gun? No, not yet." "Then where do you think you are going?" "Stay by the phone. Take notes if anything comes up. Don't speak too much." I can still help without a gun. As a policeman, I swore to defend justice, to prevent all offenses against people and property. Justice? Ha 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 ha! Lieutenant Kang burst into laughter before I could finish my sentence. "You think justice is going to block a bullet from hitting you?" "Well, kid, I've seen plenty of idiots like you. In my unit, there's only one rule you need remembered all the time, which is to follow the orders." That wasn't what I meant at all. I was just trying to help. First day on the job, and I was already having such a misunderstanding with my lieutenant. But before I could explain myself, Lieutenant Kang continued, "If you have a problem with staying by the phone, you could just go home and don't bother coming back tomorrow either. I'll let the old man know." After they left, I sat down in my seat opposite the bathroom. As my nose was catching a glimpse of the faint smell, I let out a defeated sigh. When I had been in the police academy, people would always have an understanding smile on their face whenever Unit 4 was brought up. Everyone had heard all sorts of rumors about this place. Lieutenant Kang was the infamous dictator of the Criminal Investigation Department. Everyone must follow his orders without question. He had a peculiar personality, and he was extremely rough, even cruel with the criminals. Besides, Lieutenant Kang was a lot younger than the other unit's lieutenants. Therefore, many people speculated that Lieutenant Kang had only gotten his position because of nepotism. As a result, no rookies ever wanted to join Unit 4. As for the unit that everyone dreamt of getting into, that would have to be Unit 1. Unit 1 had over 30 officers, and it was widely considered to be the best unit in the department. Yet here I was assigned to Unit 4. I was sulking when the phone rang again. There was another hostage case, and Bupyeong-dong. Since no one in Unit 4 was available, I suppose this was my time to shine. I hurried to the scene in 10 minutes. You could have told another department. Again, you don't have a gun or anything to... So, I mean, how are you going to not die? It was a 10-story apartment building. I could vaguely see 2 people on the ledge of the rooftop. People told me that they were a married couple. The husband had borrowed too much money from loan sharks and couldn't pay them back. That was why he wanted to jump off the building, and he had forced his wife up there with him too. Well, let's see. I, Chang Guang-min, will brilliantly solve this crisis. One of his feet was already at the edge of the ledge. He was holding a knife against the frightened wife's neck. Damn! I walked over there. "Stop! I'm telling you to stop!" He got riled up and his right foot missed the ledge. Oh. He fell over the edge and dragged his wife with him. "Wait, no!" Before I even had a chance to talk him down, both of them disappeared out of my sight. It was a terrible... Is there a fucking blood splatter on the left side of the screen? Oh my gosh! It was a terrible scene at the bottom. Oh my... Damn! Even though I was 10 floors above the ground, I felt like I could still smell the blood. It almost made me sick. I stood there in shock. For the first time, I finally recognized what it felt like to be a real policeman. Oh God. What the hell have I done? Could I be any more stupid? Please, Buddha! Please let me have another chance! Please! Chang Guangmin. Yeah, that's... shit! Okay. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I keep forgetting that circle is not... Okay, start. Okay. Now this stuff is considered to be a logic puzzle. Let's try this. I want to double check. Make sure this is recording. Yes, it is. The phone kept ringing. Who the hell could be calling me this godforsaken moment? I was about to bend over and pick it up. The man suddenly got riled up. He waved the knife wildly at me. "Don't move. Don't answer the phone." His wife saw the chance as the knife had left her neck, so she bit his left wrist as hard as she could. He dropped the knife out of pain. Then she ran over and hid behind me before he could pick it back up. The man suddenly began wailing like a child. "Sue, even you are abandoning me? Fine, I'll just go by myself." He raised his knife and cut his own throat open. I didn't even have time to react. I was suspended due to the serious consequences caused by my reckless, unauthorized actions. The fire trucks hadn't arrived yet. It was total chaos in front of the building. More and more injured people were being carried out of the building. A man in a black trench coat seemed to have summoned a lot of people to put out the fire. I wasn't injured at all and I had all my limbs. I thought I should go and help too. I walked toward the man. "Excuse me, I would like to..." A huge man in a black suit appeared in front of me and blocked my sight. The suit guy seemed to be twice my size. He looked down upon me and I could see a deep scar on his face. "Help?" I swallowed anxiously and had no idea what to say next. The suit guy held up his hand and pointed to somewhere behind me. A truck full of fire extinguishers had just arrived. The fire was finally put out by sunset. I sat on the stairs of the bottom building, exhausted. I was covered with dust and ash from head to toe. All of the injured people had been sent to the hospital. The man leading the team had already left. My stomach began rumbling. Man, if I could only get a free meal for helping put out the fire. So I got a rank B and a bad. And I'm trying to go for S ranks. Okay. Okay, so we need the fire truck. So what if I put this here? This here. I tried to talk some sense to him. I told him that one could always earn back the money. I said he had his wife's full support, so he shouldn't give up just yet. I even tried asking him if he would like some Dulsat Bibimbap for dinner. I don't know what that is. If you know what that is in the comments, let me know. And if you've ever had it, let me know if it's delicious or not. But none of the techniques I had learned from the academy worked. The standoff kept going. The wife was clearly physically exhausted, and she looked like she was mentally drained too. Honey, if you really want to die so much, let me go with you then. I hope we can both be happy in our next lives. She grabbed the knife on her neck and cut her own throat open. Blood was gushing out. Then she collapsed on the ground and had been colored red by her own blood. The man's face was covered with blood. He seemed to have lost the ability to talk. He slowly knelt down, took the knife out of the woman's hands, and it looked like he had completely lost his mind. I couldn't let it happen a second time. I sprinted ahead a few steps and kicked the knife out of his hands. I pinned the man to the ground. He looked at his wife's body, which was only half a meter away and slowly losing its warmth. Then he wept. Neither of us had expected the situation to turn out like that. I was suspended due to the serious consequences caused by reckless, unauthorized actions. It was total chaos in front of the burning building. Fire trucks, firemen, fire hoses, fire department taking charge of the situation. I walked up to a fireman nearby and asked if there was anything I could do to help. A foreigner? He asked and looked at me. You really shouldn't stay here. If we don't put out the fire today, we'll be dying 1,000 deaths. He saw my confused look and added, yeah, I would actually be really confused too. You are new here. This is the headquarters of the Black Dragon Gang, the most powerful gang in the air. I wonder if they might also be the loan sharks that the one guy owed. Yes, gang, bad people. There are gangs in your country, right? I think there's gangs in every country. Though, particularly in larger cities. So stay away from here. Leave, just go get some soda or something. So that was a worse ending. Okay. How would I make this better? Okay, let's see what happens here. It was total chaos in front of the burning building. I put my cell phone back into my pocket and left the crowd. I walked to the next street asking the pedestrians about Alicia. Shit! Okay. What about this? Stop, I'm telling you to stop. He got riled up. Okay. Fortunately, the fire department set up a cushion below. Damn! You moron! Do you know how big of a mess you made? That case was not even under our jurisdiction. Back at the station, Lieutenant Kang was outraged. He was yelling me so loudly the entire building could hear him. The hospital later called and informed us that the couple was okay. However, the wife was 4 months pregnant and they couldn't save the baby. Damn it! I was suspended due to the serious consequences. Okay, it's at least a little better, but still. And of course, his side is bad. Okay, what if I move this and this? No? Okay, I need the fire truck over there. Maybe? Who the hell would be calling me at this moment? I turned around and answered the phone quietly. It was from the station. They told me something important happened to the unit and I must get back as soon as possible and await further instructions. I hung up the phone and turned around only to realize that the couple had disappeared from the ledge. Fortunately, the fire broke set at the cushion. Back at the... Okay. So is there a way to save that? Someone quickly ran past me and bumped in my arm. My phone was knocked out of my hands and stopped at a man's feet. The fire trucks hadn't arrived yet, however this man in a black trench coat seemed to have summoned a lot of people to help put out the fire. He picked up my phone with his left hand and saw my sister's picture. Then he asked me in English what my relationship was to her. There was no expression on his face the entire time. After hearing my explanation, he tossed the phone back to me. Then he said, "Come back here tomorrow." "You know my sister?" I walked up to him in excitement, but a huge man in a black suit stopped me. The man in the trench coat looked like he wasn't going to answer my questions, and turned his attention back to his men and the fire. The suit guy seemed like he was twice my size. He looked down upon me, and I could see a deep scar on his face. Fine, I would come back tomorrow. Still, I never thought I would find a clue about Alicia just like this. The Lord must be blessing us. Sister, we would soon meet again. I just knew it. I can't seem to get it to work, no matter how hard I try. Am I too stupid? It's not your fault. Something seems to be tied up over at the Kang Bak Ya. Once you solve the problem over there, it might impact this one too? What? What? But I've got an S in everything! But you might have already noticed that every time you open a letter, you can see a number of small colored squares. Oh yes, what are those? The small squares can be one of three colors: yellow, pink, and gray. Some of them are solid, while some of them are empty. These squares represent all the possible endings for the event described in the specific letter. The solid ones stand for endings that you have discovered, while the empty ones are the endings you have yet to reach. Of all the solid squares, yellow marks the selected ending that you have chosen at the moment, which means the yellow square could only be solid and never empty. The solid pink squares, on the other hand, represent the endings that you have discovered but are not selected at the moment. The pink empty squares are endings you have not discovered yet. All of these squares are strictly arranged in order from S to... Okay. Which could be a helpful reference when you are making decisions. What about the gray ones? Gray squares may be solid or empty, but they are less common. Sometimes, the development of certain events may be impacted by other people and things. For instance, the incident with Chang Ming Min was affected by the Kang Bak Ya side. That's why there is a gray square here. A gray square means that under current conditions, the probability of potential ending is happening is 0, or in layman's term, it cannot happen. Once we solve the related pending problem, the square will no longer be gray, meaning that it is possible for us to reach this ending. Meanwhile, a previous ending that we have reached will now turn gray instead. Confused. Me too! I understand it is very confusing when I explain to you like this. However, I believe once you are done with Chang Guangmin's story, you will find out how it works. Got it. I'll give it a shot. So where is Kang Bak? He is a letter I do not have. Okay. Mailbox.
这都是我的错。
有没有搞错？
Dios, ¿qué hice mal?
하느님, 저를 용서해 주소서.
Are you kidding me? Come on! Okay, let's see what's going on here. Heavenly Father's guidance connected with bastards. Well, okay. Let's see what's going on. My name is... Oh, okay. Kang Baek Ya. I'm a cop. Oh, right. He was the guy in charge of Unit 4. I have been doing this for 7 years. Or is it 8? I can't really remember. Today, the old man assigned another newbie to my unit. He had always wanted my unit to become as big as Unit 1. Why did I need so many people? Detective work wasn't like street fighting. I had a headache whenever I pictured the image of so many people in the unit passing their lunches over their head during a lunch break. And this newbie today was full of that kind of fighting for justice crap. Lunatic. Well, screw it. Whatever. I was just going to wait for a few days. Then I would find an excuse to send him over to Unit 1. Everybody would be happy then. We were always very busy. The files for the open cases had been stacking up on the desks, starting to resemble small hills. Among all of the police precincts in the entire Republic of Korea, Busan might be one of the top 5 busiest precincts thanks to the violent gangs in the areas, the Musun gang and the Bungmun gang. These two gangs never made our lives easy. Recently, the old boss of the Musun gang had been very severely ill. His underlings were all itching to become the successor. There were at least a dozen people killed in the infighting every day. How big is this gang? If I kept saving up my vacation days like this, I would probably have enough time to plan for my next trip to be on the moon. The case today was an annoying one too. It was a hostage case, but the kidnapper and the hostages belonged to the same gang. It was a so-called family matter. What was worse was that the kidnapper was someone quite important in the Musun gang. The old man had always told us to keep things easy, so as to avoid a direct confrontation with the gangs. He had told me again today, multiple times, to bring the kidnapper in without hurting anyone. Without hurting anyone? If he had really wanted that, he would not have assigned the case to me. I was crawling in a narrow air vent duct. I could hear breathing sounds all around me, both loud and quiet, as well as the sound of the fans. The air smelled disgusting. I loosened my collar a little. Fuck this! I'd rather climb up the outside of the building with my bare hands than suffocate inside this goddamn tube! Why couldn't I just walk in from the door, pop 2 shots into his head? I had finally arrived at the top of the room. The voices coming from below sounded very weird through the vent. You stay there and don't fucking move. All of you, don't move. The target was sitting on a couch at the other end of the room. He kept waving the gun in his hand around and pointed it at the other one's heads every once in a while. Those poor bastards were all his underlings, and none of them even dared to look up. I had seen lots of junkies that would get so high that they wouldn't recognize their own mother. Still, the scene right below me was so unusually funny that I almost chuckled. The area below the vent was right in view of the bay window. Anyone could easily see inside the room from across the street through that window. My task today was to lure him over. I got closer to the vent, trying to observe the situation more closely. Clang! A loud noise came from somewhere. Don't move, I heard a man's voice. A bullet flew out without me seeing it. The nails fastened to the vent register had been shattered by the bullet and bounced off a few meters away from the corner. After a tumble and a half, I fell and smashed into the white carpet along the vent register. 5 meters away, the junkie was holding his gun with a shocked expression on his face. The smoke was still coming out of the dark, shaking barrel. Near my shoulder, my shirt had turned from its original red to another kind of red, and the colored patch kept getting larger.
멍청하긴.
You've let yourself get hurt again. Idiot. A voice that I couldn't be more familiar with appeared in my head once again, while also sounding like it was coming from out of this world. Oh crap. I had to come back to this room again. The room was extremely dark. There was no furniture inside except for a light bulb hanging from the center of the ceiling. A slightly shorter person walked out from a dark corner reluctantly. His hair was all messed up and his eyes didn't even look alive. As soon as he pushed me away from underneath the light, a mysterious force dragged me into a corner and I was swallowed by darkness. Whenever I was in danger, this guy would come out against my will. But in this moment, like this, well, shit, what a shitty day. Whoever stood under the light would have control of the body. This is literally the plot from the movie Split. This is literally the movie Split. Have you guys watched Unbreakable, like M. Night Shyamalan, where Bruce Willis is a superhero, and you also got Samuel Jackson as Mr. Glass, and you got James McAvoy as the character who has multiple personalities. Split, but they're all like, they have to share the light. Got 23 per... Yeah, this is the movie Split, as well as Unbreakable and Mr. Glass by M. Night Shyamalan. Damn! This game is unpredictable and dark. From this moment on, I was no longer in command of my own body. I managed to dodge all of the flying bullets toward me with extreme agility and inhuman postures. So basically, we just activated Bonkai. When I got back on my feet, I somehow had a gun in my hand. The 13 9mm bullets in the magazine were fired like a machine gun. Each one of them went through his head. That's excessive. One is enough. 13 through his head. Shit. Broken eyeballs splashed all over the barely recognizable face of the junkie. Everything was a terrible mess. The junkie had collapsed on the floor like a pile of mud. But now, the gun was aimed at his henchmen, that were all still tied up. Things were taking an ugly turn. One bullet, one life, no waste. But I hesitated when the gun pointed at a muscular guy with a tattooed head. Oh, the muscular guy suddenly swept me at my ankle with his leg. I lost my balance and knocked my head on a short table and passed out. When I woke up, I was lying at the hospital with tubes coming out all over my body. Min Jun was sitting next to me sound asleep. 8 deaths. As per usual, I had to write 1,000 words for each death in the report, which meant I needed to write 8,000 words. Moreover, the target this time was not just a regular punk. His father was the leader of the Gagmoon group with his Musan gang Choi Yo-han. That would mean another 4,000 words at least. Gosh, my head hurts so bad. Sweet Jesus, give me a break, please. Wow, it was almost like I was watching an action movie. If only I had some popcorn. Don't ruin this solemn mood by suddenly thinking about popcorn. Okay, sorry, there's no popcorn here. But we do have Asmanthus cakes? What's that? Oh, that's great too. I'm not very picky. So if I want to eat cakes while watching a movie, while working, is there any way I could do it hands-free? These letters are not like regular letters that I can just read in front of me. I have to follow the thoughts of the writer by confirming it sentence by sentence. Stupid lazy girl, although there is indeed a way. If you want to free your hands to eat something or something else, all you need to do is press triangle. Then the letter will enter autoplay mode. Furthermore, if you want to read it faster while you are not eating, you can activate skip text options. Afterwards, every button pressed will reveal an entire line of text immediately. All of these tips have been archived in the help menu. If you have any questions, don't forget to check the information here. Got it. Kang Bak Ya. Shit! My name is Alicia! I'm 18 years old. Okay, so it's Carlos, I think I remember. His older sister. I'm 18 years old. How can you be 18 years old? You're the older sister. By like 6 years, if I remember correctly. So what, your brother's only 12? I thought he was 18 himself. I was expecting you to be like, 24. At least. I feel like I'm not remembering ages correctly. I was born and raised in Mexico. I have a little brother named Carlos who is 9 years young. 9? So what? He's only 9? Are you telling me that he traveled from Mexico all the way to Hong Kong at the age of 9 by himself? That doesn't sound safe at all. He is the only family I have left. We're both orphans. What is with this suspenseful music? It sounds like it belongs in a calm section or a worrying section of a horror game. You're not outright being killed by a monster, but, you know, we're still keeping the suspense and tension high. The orphanage, like, it just sounds like it's much darker. But then again, I forgot that this game can be a little dark. The orphanage was so poor that they couldn't afford to send us to school. I had to come out and make some money so that I could keep my brother in school. If I could make enough... It's great music, by the way, but it's just... It's a little more creepy than I would... Like, it's making me expect terrible things to happen. I thought maybe we could eventually move. Like, is Pyramid Head going to suddenly jump scare me here? I thought maybe we could eventually move out of the orphanage and start a new life, just the two of us. I heard that America was a place full of chances for everyone. Yeah. I know there are some people that tend to be racist to some people. Again, I don't understand racism, like why some people are that way. But I'm sure that racism exists in every country in the world. But I don't know. I don't understand people not liking each other based on the color of their skin or race or ethnicity. I don't know. The only thing I can say is about them building parts of the wall down in the states to the south is that I kind of hoped that maybe it would, you know, slow any kind of influx of drugs. But then again, there's, you know, people making drugs and stuff right in America too. So, short story, I just don't like people dying of overdoses and, well, very terrible drugs that are bad for people. But yeah, I just don't understand why people hate each other. You know. But yeah, America is a place for everybody. And most people, most Americans, aren't racist and they're actually nice people. But it's usually like most of those people are the quiet ones. Usually the people you're going to see on the news that are saying the most horrible, screwed up shit are the very loud, obnoxious assholes. And for some reason, the news seems to love them. So that gets put on there, but then again, our news is usually based on, you know, sensationalism, whatever can get the most views. So whatever they think will, you know, have the most people tune in. But it's just... I just don't understand why people treat each other like that. I heard that America was a place full of chance for everyone, and it's supposed to be. That's where I should go. A travel agency inside Mexico had told me that crossing the desert, stowing away on a train, or getting across the Rio Bravo were all very risky and dangerous. Therefore, they had established a route via the ocean, even though it would be slightly more expensive. It was guaranteed to be safe, and everyone who had taken this route had gotten into America. I spent the money I had saved for months and bought myself a ship ticket. There were several other young girls with me on the ship. I feel like you were lied to, and I'm very worried about where this is going. We were locked inside a small room, and we're not allowed to go out. First we thought it was all just so people wouldn't find us being smuggled across the border, but it had taken so long we must have arrived now. Half a month would pass, and we were still at sea. We were finally certain that we had been conned. Oh, God. After about a month, the ship finally arrived at port. We were moved to a building near the port where guards watched us. Where were we now? Which country was this? Where were we going to be sold? This is fucked up! As slaves? Or prostitutes? This is horrible! I crouched in the corner with my mind running wild. Every once in a while, a guard would come in and take a sobbing girl out. There were fewer and fewer people left in the room. Finally, there was only me and another girl named Julie left. Julie suddenly stood up and tried to hit the guard at the door facing us. She was holding a rock in her hand, but she didn't succeed. The rock fell to the ground. Well, actually, this was probably from the past, wasn't it? And her arm was grabbed so tightly by the guard that it looked like it was about to snap. She looked at me with a pleading look in her eyes. I really wanted to help her. I didn't want to be sold either. I was too scared. The guard had a gun. Everyone outside had a gun. Yeah, that sounds like... Oh... Julie lowered her head. When she lifted back up to the ground, the guard was screaming like a pig being slaughtered. Half of his missing ear was in Julie's mouth. Damn, she is definitely very tenacious. But while I understand not wanting the horrible things to happen, I mean, if everyone has a gun, this sounds like you're going to die fighting, which might be a preferable ending compared to what might happen. But at the same time, I forgot how dark this game could go. Even with the music, I was like, still trying to be hopeful that good things could happen, and this is not those things. Then I heard a few gunshots along with loud cursing. Julie fell down and stopped moving. Her eyes were open so wide as if she had just come out of a nightmare. The injured guard slammed the door angrily with one hand covering his ear. Soon another person came in. This one seemed to be nicer. He had half a bottle of beer with him. He sat down at the door and looked at me and then looked at Julie, who was lying in her own blood. He didn't seem to care about what happened at all. An hour later his bottle was empty and he had fallen asleep in the chair. It was pretty late. Maybe I wouldn't be taken away until tomorrow. I looked at Julie again and remembered what she had told me there on the ocean. I want to become a singer in America. I want to be a star. She wasn't bragging. She had a really beautiful voice. She had also said, I know if I do my best, my dream will come true. I would never forget the look on her face when she said it. Her eyes had been filled with hope and anticipation for the future. I was very jealous of how lively and full of joy Julie was. The guard turned a little on the chair, and his gun dropped from his waist, sliding toward my feet. Was it a hint from the Lord? I reached out for the gun, but I jerked my hand back like I had been shocked when I touched it. No, I couldn't. What if I ended up like Julie? I held the cross tight in front of my chest and started praying. Oh, Heavenly Father, Jesus said, ask and you shall receive. We trust that you know what our needs are, you recognize what our true feelings are, you understand what situations we are in. Now we shall ask for what our heart truly desires. O God, give heed to my prayers. Show us your mercy. Amen. 5 minutes passed. By the way, amen is a Hebrew word. It means so be it. I still think it's interesting that when they reestablished Hebrew as a main language of the world, there was a lot of people that, there was a lot of things in the modern world that didn't have names for it. But then again, that happens with all languages. All languages change and adapt with the times. I mean, just think how English has changed. And even then, just in England, how many accents there are. And here in America, how many accents there are. So it's interesting the different ways that we as humans have to communicate with each other. 10 minutes passed, 30 minutes passed. The guard began snoring. The gun was right next to my hand. Maybe this really had been a hint from the Lord. I finally picked up the gun in hesitation. It felt so heavy in my hand. Mom, Dad, please bless me. Carlos, please bless me. Heavenly Father, please bless me. I pushed the door open. There was no one in the hallway outside. It was so quiet, the only thing I could hear was my own heart beating wildly in my chest. The building had only one floor. After taking one turn, I could see the main gate. There were several guards at the gate too. All of them had guns. There was a black man and 2 Asians, and the rest of them all had pale skin. How could I get out with just one handgun? I checked the gun in my hand once again. There were no bullets in the gun. Son of a bitch! There were no bullets. Was it a test? Was the guard just pretending to see what she... I collapsed on the floor. I was not feeling afraid anymore. I felt just utter desperation. I feel despair is a more appropriate word. Soon the guards noticed me and dragged me back into the room. This time they cuffed my feet so that I wouldn't be able to escape again. Julie's body was still lying there. Flies began hovering around her face, but they didn't seem to have any intention of cleaning up the scene. Would I end up like Julie? Was this my final destiny? Heavenly Father, please answer me. Alicia. Shit! Okay. Well, obviously I need this guy not to have bullets. So no bullets. Okay. Where were the bullets? Wait, I had taken out the magazine yesterday while doing maintenance. I must have forgotten to bring it along earlier. Shit! I must have been too tired recently. My memory was getting really bad. Maybe in a couple years, I would... First day of school. Okay, got an achievement for that. I would Alzheimer's disease. I paged Min-June through the radio and there was a change of plan, and we needed to fall back. I heard a loud boom coming through the air duct behind me as I climbed out of the vent. Only later did I learn the room with the target had an inexplicable explosion? The investigation everywhere indicated that everyone in the room had been burnt to ashes. There were no survivors. I never imagined that forgetting the magazine would turn out to have saved my life. I suppose today wasn't such a shitty day after all. A bullet that had come from the door hit me in the stomach. It was supposed to hit the guy that was going to kill Julie. It was supposed to save lives. This is not the intended outcome. I slowly collapsed to the ground, my back against the wall. I could feel the warmth slowly leaving my body. Everything's getting darker. The last thing I saw was some people arguing at the door. They were all strangers. Tears rolled down my face. It was true what they said. The people you wanted to see most in the last moments would be your own family. Son of a bitch! This was not the intended result. What about this? Okay, what happens here? I accidentally knocked down a ladder that had been put against the wall. The guards in the room woke up. He stumbled in the hallway, still quite sleepy. I suddenly had an idea. Hands up, don't make a sound or I'll shoot. I pointed the gun at his head. He held his hands up high and began sweating. Walk to the gate slowly. Do not speak to them. Do not lower your hands. Do not turn around. I pressed the gun against the back of his head, and we walked slowly toward the gate. My palms were completely wet with sweat. Only I knew that I was more nervous than he. When we were only a few hundred meters away from the port, I smashed his head with the gun as hard as I could and knocked him out. Then I ran away as fast as possible. I didn't dare look back. There were still plenty of people on the street. Many stores were still open, even in the middle of the night. This sounds happier. People were shooting me strange looks when I ran past them. They all seemed to be Asians, but I didn't dare stop and talk to them. Julie had been right about one thing. Dreams did come true when you did your best. I didn't know how long I had to run, but I couldn't take even one more step. I collapsed into a bunch of paper boxes stacked at the corner of an alley. A bullet hit the vent register, then it happened to deflect to hit my shoulder. What a wonderful day for me. Blood was streaming down my arm and dripping down into the vent. Then it dropped onto a carpet room below. Wait, whoa, what is this? The target's steps were getting closer. Then he stopped. I didn't need to look. The bastard must be standing right beneath the vent. Soon he would lift his head, look up, and notice me. There was a sound of the window glass shuttering. Then it was the sound of flesh being destroyed. Mission complete. Everything went as planned. Oh, well, almost. I stood next to the junkie's body, which was missing half of his head. Oh shit. He was supposed to just lose a leg or something. This was a little different from the old man had demanded. Min Jun had just rushed over from the building across the street. He dropped to his knees with a thud as soon as he saw me. I'm sorry, Lieutenant. It was my mistake. I missed. It looked like he hadn't forgotten the last time when he didn't follow the plan exactly and had to write a 200,000-word report. Sigh. If apologizing was good enough, what would we need the cops for then? I checked the junkie's pocket. There was only 50,000 won and a half pack of Marlboros. I stuffed the money into Min Jun's pocket and lit a cigarette for myself. Well, Cho Di-soon, which was the name of the junkie, was just trash in the society and deserved to die. After witnessing such a bloody ending, maybe his loser buddies would learn to behave a little too. Yeah, maybe it wasn't too bad after all. I touched Min Jun's head. Don't worry about it. Well done. Yes! Double rank S! Done. You have solved Kang Bek Ya's problem, but don't forget about Chang Guang Min's letter from earlier. Oh right, it almost slipped my mind. It did slip my mind. I was thinking about going straight back to it. Okay, so Chang. Okay, let's give this another try. Okay, it's kind of open, just... Okay. What about this? Someone quickly ran past me and bumped into my arm. My phone was knocked out of my hands and dropped to the ground and kept spinning ahead and almost fell down the storm drain. That was close. It was total chaos in front of the building. I left the crowd and walked across the street asking pedestrians about Alicia. So no. Retry. No. Okay, this is a new one. Who the heck would be calling me at this godforsaken moment? I turned around and answered the phone quietly. It was Lieutenant Kang. Lieutenant briefly told me about the situation and told me to hand the phone over to his husband. It was the Bu Nam game. Why? Is it true? Oh my! Oh my, that's wonderful. Thank you. Wow. Okay, so people he owed money to. Okay. He hung up the phone and dropped the knife and hugged his wife, sobbing uncontrollably. Sue, it's all okay now. We can have our lives back. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's all my fault. What just happened? I took my phone back from the man, confused. Is Strong? Was that? Okay. Blew past us, and the man lost his balance. I quickly reacted, took a big step forward and grabbed him, trying to pull him back, but I was pulled over instead. We fell off the ledge together. The world was spinning. Shit! Got that the fire truck's there. It was 10 floors above ground. No one would survive if we hit the ground. I swung my right arm out as hard as I could toward the roof ledge. Something flew out of my coat. It was a white ribbon that I had wrapped around my forearm with a small spearhead tied to it. Why would you have that? Why would you have that item? No one would have that item. That makes no sense to have. There is no reason you would have that item. The spearhead wrapped around the metal bar on the ledge and Johnson tied it. That's no one has something like that. It was my secret weapon. I called it the tail. What are you, Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho? What? No one does that, Indiana Jones. What? It's like, who are you? I am Batman! For a moment, I let out a sigh of relief thinking we were safe, but the bar couldn't hold her weight and began to bend. I tightened my left fist and grabbed the man's shirt harder. I burned the last drop of energy inside of all the adrenaline I had and forced every single muscle cell to release all of their power. Justice was not something that I only talked about. I threw him up toward the roof. We were quickly moving away from each other in opposite directions. The metal bar finally gave out and it was torn away from the concrete ledge, and I began moving. Damn! At least I know the fire truck's there. I could hear the wind gushing in my ears. This is my justice. Yes, you lived! Everyone's happy! Now, Li Wen and Jimmy. Okay, so it's the high school girl and her crush. Well, she's his crush. Okay, let's see what's going on here. In the alley, tennis. Okay. I'm Li Wen, a senior at the Yingnam High School. Today, the new art teacher assigned me as his assistant for the class, so I had to stay after class and clean up the art room. I tried to sneak a few peeks at this strange teacher while I reluctantly mopped the floor. He was looking over the sketches that had been left in the room one by one and then throwing them in the trash. It was just the two of us, neither of us talking. Hey, W, how was your first day? It was my homeroom teacher, Miss Yang, who burst in the room and broke the silence. She said hello to me and held onto Mr. Wen's arm like a little girl. According to what I had heard from Jing, Mr. Wen and Mrs. Yang went way back. It was also Miss Yang who had recommended Mr. Wen for the newly vacant teaching position. The beautiful Miss Yang was said to be notoriously hard to get. Many male teachers at the school had allegedly turned down by her. Was she involved with Mr. Wen? I grabbed the trash can and deliberately left the room. When I got back, there was no one there anymore. Someone appeared to have already replaced the barrel for the water dispenser too. It seemed that I could finally go home. Yay! It was starting to get dark when I finally finished cleaning the classroom. I walked out of the school gate and then I noticed Mr. Wen was walking not too far in front of me, going in the same direction. That was strange. I thought he had left a while ago. I didn't want to talk to him, so I stayed behind a distance, quietly watching his back. Such a bad-tempered and terribly dressed man. How exactly did he become a teacher again? Before I knew it, Mr. Wen had walked into a dark alley that led to my place. However, as soon as I stepped to the alley myself, I suddenly felt something was wrong and I immediately backed out. Mr. Wen had been stopped by two men, one in front of him and one behind him. One facing my direction was wearing a tank top. He flashed a pocket-sized knife in Mr. Wen's face. I hid behind the corner and tried to peek around. Mr. Wen took out his wallet and handed it over without any resistance. That was smart, I thought. Better safe than sorry. The tank top guy fiddled with the wallet for a while, then slammed it on the ground. 20? Do you think I'm a fucking beggar? He punched Mr. Wen in the face. Mr. Wen stumbled back and bumped into the guy behind him. He was still not resisting. The tank top guy placed his knife on Mr. Wen's face. Be smart, give me all your money. He doesn't really have any money. Remember, this guy was trying to kill himself by lighting a charcoal fire in his room. He had no electricity. Judging the look on his face, maybe that 20 yuan really was all Mr. Wen had. We were too far away from the main street and there was no one else who could help. I suddenly had an idea. I took out my racket out of my bag and grabbed a tennis ball. This was a time to test the result of my nightly practices. Ball toss! Backswing. It's a tennis ball! Even if you were hitting a baseball or a softball really hard, and a softball's still pretty hard, it wouldn't be enough to really be a deadly weapon unless you're able to do a fast pitch, okay? Let alone a tennis ball. Best you're going to get is a distraction. Please hit the target, please. The ball was flying at the speed of 180 kilometers per hour. I doubt that. You would have to be amazing at tennis to be able to launch it that fast, but even then, it's a tennis ball. A gust of wind suddenly swept by. The ball was blown off its path by the wind and missed the target. Instead, it hit the back of Mr. Wen's head. Mr. Wen fell to the ground with a thud like a brick. The two men noticed me. They seemed to be just as shocked as me. They must have thought I wanted to kill the man lying on the ground for some reason. The tank-top guy took one step toward me. I began to picture how they'd force me into a corner and pull a chainsaw out from my... Okay, one, they're not going to pull out a chainsaw. Where would they put it? Two, even though it's a tennis ball, a hit to the back of the head like that could be enough to knock somebody out. I mean, technically in UFC and boxing, you're not supposed to hit... Like, there's a few rules. One, no blocks below the belt. You know, you're not supposed to hit somebody in the balls. Two, no rabbit punching. Rabbit punch is where you hit someone square in the back of the head. Because it's actually pretty easy to knock someone out that way. But the biggest reason not to do that is this. It's not like the movies. In the movies, they make it seem like it's no big deal to knock somebody out. Let's be clear. If you hit somebody in the head hard enough to knock them unconscious, there is always a chance that it will kill them. And even if it doesn't, you know, getting a concussion is not a trivial matter. It does damage you, and it does affect some of your memory. And if you don't get proper care for it, it could also kill you. So it's not nearly as safe as the movies make it seem. It's actually very dangerous. And cut me to... Oh no, I couldn't stay there any longer. I'm sorry, Mr. Wen. I screamed silently in my head and ran away with my hands covering my face, leaving Mr. Wen there by himself. The next day, Mr. Wen did not come to class. The school put an announcement saying that he had been badly injured during a robbery and that he was in a coma in the hospital. The announcement also reminded the students to be careful on their way back home. It was all my fault. I should not have left him alone. There must have been better a way. Li Wen. Okay, next letter. The crush. Hi, my name is Jimmy. I'm a transfer student. I arrived in Beijing not too long ago and I'm a senior at Yingnan High School. The reason I chose this school is because I had a serious crush on a girl here. Just a few days ago, I was fortunate enough to be her partner in a doubles tennis match on my first day at school. At first, I was so thankful that I thought the goddess had finally smiled upon me. Yet I was totally embarrassed because I had never even played tennis before. And look at the little face. He's like, oh shit. This is like, no. After that, I made up my mind. I was determined to improve my tennis skills, just in case I had another chance at this. I adjusted the serve speed of the ball machine, walked back to the baseline, raised my tennis racket, got ready. In order to get better, I had bought a season membership at a club. I even finished watching all 178 episodes of the Kid of Tennis anime. It's kind of like watching Hajime no Ippo, which is a pretty good anime and an amazing manga to get better at boxing. It's actually, for anime, it's actually quite close to realism. That being said, it's anime, and a lot of times they push certain things beyond what is possible. But definitely, Baki anime is completely unrealistic. It is not even close to reality. And there's a lot of things they do that don't even apply to the rules of anatomy. But Hajime no Ippo is at least closer. It's out of all the anime, it's at least closer to reality. It still takes liberties and artistic license, but still, I had complete faith in myself. I believed I could make it work this time. What is that emotion? Like, is it like determination? Is that determination? I don't know. Next time I got to play with her, I would show off my kick serve, my pickup volleys, my drive D, and even my zero-style slices to her. Why have you given it anime names, buddy? That being said, if I was into a sport, I would do that too. Heck, there were times back when I would play certain, like, ultimate frisbee or football sort of stuff, where I would yell inside my mind, Kaioken! When I was trying to run. And if I needed to run faster, or, do something a little stronger, I'd be like, times 2, times 3. I wouldn't say it out loud because I didn't want to be laughed at. But I would yell Kaioken in my mind, and then have a higher number, if I was really trying to push myself. I know, I'm nerdy. Ah, shit, no, I didn't want to do that. And she would look at me with admiration. Ha 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 ha. And of course he's like, yes, happy face. They're very good at these text faces. The ball machine shot at a ball with a pong. The ball was flying at 140 kilometers an hour. Ah! What a sneaky machine. How dare it serve the ball when I wasn't paying attention. Oh gosh, my wrist really hurts. The doctor said I had hurt my tendon. I need to rest my right hand for at least a month. He said I should not even use a mouse, not to mention playing tennis. No! Doctor, I want to play! My dear God, it's a fortune. If you can hear me, please heal my wrist. If it's unnecessary, I will even swear off video games for a month, as a sacrifice to you. What is that face? Please! Jimmy! Jimmy! South Park. Excuse me, what? Special restrictions, you say? Also, music! Okay, Panda Squirrel with the AT&T logo on him, who seems to like Pepsi. What is this music? What is it? Like, you talk about special restrictions, and now all of a sudden we have, like, serial killer music. What is happening? Special restrictions? Yes, remember when I told you that white pieces could be moved anywhere, except past the first and last pieces in the letter, of course? Yes, I do remember. When special restrictions were placed, that would no longer be the case. For instance, in these two letters, the two pieces are in conflict with each other. That means they cannot be moved to the same side. If you do so, they will automatically switch places. Both pieces are labeled with a double-sided arrow, which stands for conflict. In addition to conflict, there are special restrictions such as sequence. We'll deal with that when we see it. For now, you just need to remember that all of the pieces with special restrictions will be labeled with a red sign like this one on my right side. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for it. Now, obviously, I'm meant to switch the stuff, but you know what? I want to see this. Because I'm assuming that somehow the tennis ball will kill the guy with the gun. I mean, the knife. And I just want to see. I shuddered a little before I realized the ball was already right in front of me. I was so startled that I had awkwardly blocked the ball with the racket. And I accidentally hit the sweet spot, and it felt great. Wait. Had I just hit it? Yes, I had! I had just hit an underspin shot. Oh well, I had learned how to hit an underspin shot. Bonsai, bonsai! I swept up as people nearby were shooting me admiringly strange looks. What does bonsai mean? Was he hurt? No. Bonsai is a Japanese phrase. It means hooray! Although, based on my observation, lots of people outside Japan use this word as well. Yes. Though, predominantly the main time I've heard bonsai is when somebody is jumping off something. Preferably into, say, a pole. So a happy jump. So like jumping, like doing a cannonball into a swimming pool. Or falling down enthusiastically into a bed or a beanbag chair. You know, something that's soft that you're not going to get hurt from. They are from many different countries and most of them are men. Oh, and they share another common characteristic. Yes? What is that? They're all single. Duh. Okay, everyone out there, there's nothing wrong with being single, but I have been single for a long time. But main thing is this. There are advantages to being single, but at the same time, I'll say this, it's good to be single, there's nothing wrong with it. The only time it's really bad to be single is if you're single for an extended period of time. Because then it's just really depressing and lonely. Everything, being single hurts. Well, I mean, you want somebody to love you. And you want someone to actually give a shit if you die. In the end, bonsai still means hurt, right? See, bonsai means being single, and being single means it hurts. This is very straightforward. I think I'm single too. Bonsai. Okay. Yes. How did the other one go? The ball hit the forehead of the tank top guy exactly as I planned. He fell down to the ground with a thud like a brick. Before the second man realized what had happened, I sprinted toward his back as fast as I could. I smashed his head with my racket with all my strength. Then I grabbed Mr. Wen's hand and ran toward the back of the alley. 10 minutes later, I was panting heavily and realized that I had already run all the way back to the apartment building. Oh, and I was still holding Mr. Wen's hand. Mr. Wen, excuse me, this is where I live. I quickly let go of his hand. Well, I might as well do a home visit then. Shall we? Home visit? For a senior? By an art teacher! Mr. Wen, actually, there was no one else home. I walked in front of him and explained, Do your parents always work late? Mr. Wen looked up at me while climbing up the stairs. The sunlight coming through the windows in the hallway was making him sweat. No, I live alone. I stopped in front of room 413, but Mr. Wen didn't follow me. He stopped in front of room 414. He pointed to the door next to him with his thumb and smiled. I suddenly remembered. The first day after I moved in, the manager uncle's son had told me that a very famous artist from abroad had been living in the apartment next door. So that was him. We had actually met each other before. Oh, rank S for both people. Well, this is very happy, triumphant music, but very peaceful too. This is relaxing, but inspiring. Well, you know what? I think I'll go on and call that a part. I hope everyone out there had a very good day. And that is not the correct button. This is the correct button. So, I hope everyone had a good day. And yeah, everyone take care. Bye.